Okay, next up is Jimmie Johnson. And Jimmie is our 6-time NASCAR Sprint Cup Series champion. He's driving the number 48 Lowe's Patriotic Chevrolet for Hendrick Motorsports. And certainly coming to a racetrack he's very familiar with and been to Victory Lane many times here. But Jimmie, I'm going to ask you first. Yesterday you got to vote, cast your ballot for the 2015 NASCAR Hall of Fame class. It was history in the making there. How did you like that?
That was a huge. Is this on?
Yeah.
Oh, there we go. Okay. That was a huge honor and an amazing day to be a part of. And to sit in a room with so many people that care for our sport, know about our sport, and then discuss what took place in these, certainly eras of time that some I wasn't even around for. Others I was on the West Coast and didn't know of NASCAR. But it was a very awesome and unique experience, and something I think that is, one, a huge honor. 2, years to come, it's only going to help the drivers in the garage area understand the history of our sport and be closer and more attached to the people that built the sport. And in a big way, I wish that the garage area could sit in on that discussion and see the respect that the peers and the people on the voting panel have for our industry and for the people involved. It wasn't an easy process to work down to 5, and all 20 on that list were very deserving to be in the Hall of Fame. So to see the process, to see the care of our peers, our industry, it was a very good experience. And again, I just wish that, I think of myself still kind of young in the sport. It was huge for me. And then I think of Kyle Larson and other younger drivers coming along, how good it would be for them to see and witness all of that. So an awesome day. The champion gets that honor, and it is a huge honor. And I know that the champions behind me will have as great of experience as I did.
Thank you, Jimmie. We'll start with questions now. We'll go here with Mark in the red shirt, and then we'll go to David Caravello, and then Alan Cavanna.
Mark Doe for WYFF out of Greenville, South Carolina. How is this race different for you? The fact that it's the longest race of the year, what is the preparation like this week, and then how is Sunday different, being that it is the longest race of the year?
It's not tremendously different anymore. The big thing you need to stay aware of is the track changing. That's the biggest issue that we'll deal with starting in the day and finishing late in the night. I think maybe towards the start of my career, we were a little bit worried about equipment and managing equipment, but those all seem to be distant memories now, and you can really run every lap like it's the last. Drivers' fitness and hydration is kind of a player in there as well, and you might see a little bit of fatigue at the end. So I feel like I've got that base covered if it does come down to that. But you've got a lot of opportunities to work on your car, and that's what I'll tell myself all night long. If things don't go our way, if we're caught in the pits when a caution comes out, something doesn't work in our favor, you've got 100 more miles to sort things out. A 500-mile race is already long, and now you've got 100 more to work on it. So you just got to keep your head in the game and focus on being in the game longer.
Go David Caravello, Alan Cavanna, Jeff Gluck. Go ahead.
David Caravello, NASCAR.com. Jimmie, there's always been a lot of curiosity in the Cup garage area about the Indy 500, and if this experience for Kurt goes well on Sunday, do you think more NASCAR drivers might be inclined to give it a look?
I think so. I feel like there's been an open door there. At least I know there has been for myself and in discussions with many teams on the IndyCar side. Timing was an issue at one point in time. The engine manufacturer situation was an issue that I was dealing with when I had the green light for my wife to go do it. So there's always some challenges, but it might, and I think that, I hope that it does. I think it's great for motorsports to see this happen. And maybe I'm not answering your question directly, but the thing that I look in all of this and what I'm watching intently for is to see how a driver does from a low downforce vehicle into a high downforce vehicle. And Sunday we'll know a lot more how that transitions, but it seems to be an easier transition to go from low downforce to high downforce versus open wheel guys leaving their high downforce cars coming to our low downforce cars. So proud of Kurt. He's doing an awesome job. He's put up a lot of speed and fast laps over there, and has even found the limit. It's something you need to do, and it's better to tear him up in practice than on race day. So looking forward to the 500 and hopefully has a great showing. My desire to compete in the Indianapolis 500 has not diminished one bit, but I made a deal with my wife, so deal's a deal.
Alan Cabana, Jeff Gluck, Marty Smith.
Jimmie, on that note, as someone who trains relentlessly, what is it you appreciate most about what Kurt is trying to do on Sunday? And I have one follow-up after that.
Sure. I mean, as a racer, there's just events that you dream of competing in before you ever make a decision that you're going to race on short tracks and end up in stock cars or go-karts that lead to open-wheel racing. And you just watch events on television, you know the prestige that follows them, and you just desire to race in those events. And Indy is that for anybody that has, you know, love for auto racing. So I've had that, and I feel like stock car drivers are fortunate now where we get to go there for our Brickyard 400, and it's a very, very important race, and we're able to, you know, satisfy a large part of that. For West Coasters like the Bush brothers, myself, Jeff, you know, other guys, Casey Kane, you know, open wheel was our kind of path. When, especially in my era of growing up, a lot of guys were leaving the different off-road and dirt ranks in our area, working their way into Trans Am up to Indy Lights and then into IndyCar. So my focus was solely on IndyCar. I knew a little bit about NASCAR, but if it wasn't for Chevrolet being very honest with me, and they wanted me to be a part of their driving lineup years to come, but they said, look, we're pulling out of open wheel. If you want a career in motorsports and you want Chevrolet support, you need to consider stock car racing. And it wasn't long after that I had a one-way ticket to North Carolina and was on Ron Hornaday's couch. So, you know, my path led me a different way, but, you know, with Kurt, I would imagine Indy was very prominent in his mind as a kid growing up.
And just looking ahead to Dover, your record there speaks for itself. Do you expect any of that to change with the ride height rules and going there with the new setups and everything?
Yeah, it's all different. There's no doubt. We had a setup that worked well with a variety of generations of cars, and it'll be a little different going back, but there's a rhythm and a style to drive that racetrack that I think sticks with the driver regardless of cars. So I'm very optimistic about our performance over there.
Jeff Gluck, Marty Smith, Viv Bernstein. Go ahead, Jeff.
Jeff Gluck from USA Today. I mean, you've obviously been asked pretty much every week for the last few weeks about not having won this season yet, and I know you've said that you're not overly concerned, but Chad was on Sirius this week, and he was saying that, you know, that you've struggled a bit with the new rules package because it favors a tighter car, and you like to drive a looser car, and that you might have to adapt a little bit. They're trying to adapt it for you. Can you evaluate? You know, do you agree with that assessment, and where are you sort of in being where you want, catching up to where you want to be?
Yeah, that's definitely what we've been dealing with. We develop a balance of the car in practice by ourselves, single car runs, and then in traffic situations find that balance is just too uncomfortable to drive. So trying to trade off single car speed versus how the car handles in traffic has been kind of our goal, and I do like a loose race car, and as we get in traffic, the car typically gets looser. So if you start with a loose car and you end up deep in traffic, you're not really going anywhere. You're kind of stuck. And yes, I'm not the best driver of a tight race car. A lot of tools have been taken away from us to help the car turn. So it's something that I'm trying to adapt to and sort out. You know, there's always different challenges in the sport, and I know that we'll get it. And I also feel that even though we haven't won a race this year, you know, there's 16 positions, 16 drivers make it into the chase, where last year there was 12 and 2 of those are wild cards. So the window's a lot bigger to get into the chase for the first segment, and I feel very confident that we'll be in there. And I honestly really don't think there's going to be 16 different winners. So as long as we work to make our cars faster, of course we want to win, but as long as we keep, you know, a smart mind on points and have good finishes and keep ourselves up in points, we'll keep our postseason hopes alive. And in the postseason, we have amazing racetracks for us. And I know by then we'll have things where we need to.
Marty Smith, Viv Bernstein, Pete Acabelli. Go ahead, Marty.
Marty Smith, ESPN. Johnson, having been teammates with Jeff Gordon forever and friends with him as well, what conversations have you had with him, if any, about that first win of his career here, and what do you remember about it, seeing it over on the west side?
Man, oddly enough, I don't maybe we talked about it years ago, but I don't have any vivid memories or thoughts of our discussions of that. I remember watching it and seeing how, couldn't even talk, man. He just broke down and emotion poured through. Being a driver on the West Coast and knowing he grew up out there and raced in a different form of cars gave me a lot of hope, and I think a lot of dirt-related drivers hoped that they would get a shot at NASCAR. And so I just remember watching. I was a fan. I owned a die-cast car, and he was my guy, so I was stoked that he won a race. And look back on that, and obviously a big day for him, and just the start of all the great things that came.
Viv Bernstein, Pete Acabelli, Jim Pedley.
Viv Bernstein, New York Times. You've had a few months with this new format for qualifying. How has it changed racing this year in any way?
I feel like you get another opportunity on most tracks if you don't get your first lap right. Here we should have a chance or two to go out on older, second run on tires and not lose too much speed. So if you don't get the greatest first lap, you can maybe improve your starting position. So I feel like this format offers you a few chances to get your best starting position. Most importantly, I think it's good for the fans. I think having a race of sorts and some type of competition out there is good for them.
Okay, I apologize. I meant the format for qualifying for the playoff. Change the
I'm
way you
sorry.
guys race.
Yep, the way we race. I haven't seen anything totally different yet. I think once we get towards the end of the year, you definitely see some aggression, and it really makes a difference between first and second. So with wins being the priority, there could very well be some heated racing up front, but for third and fourth, you're not going to go in there, dump the guy for third, and then have him mad at you the rest of the year. So it's different if you're racing for the win. But I think it's built a lot of excitement. I've had not necessarily non-NASCAR fans, but more casual fans that I know have been tuning in a lot more and interested in following the winners and the progress of the season. So I feel like it's been a good change for our sport.
Not going to be able to get to everybody. We'll take two more. Pete Acabelli, Jim Pedley.
Jimmy, Pete Acabelli with the Associated Press. Getting back to your voting yesterday, how much preparation did you do in order for that vote? And did your car owner perhaps give you a little ribbing that you couldn't get him in yesterday?
No, I spoke to him on the drive up today, just catching up with him, and I'm not sure he feels that he should be in there yet. Is a competitor out there, and he appreciates the phone calls he received yesterday and the concern from others, but I don't think he feels like it's time to be in there yet, although I voted for him. But I just so impressed with his stats and what he's done, but I still think there's many more to come. What was the first part?
How much did you prepare?
Oh, preparation. For me, it's a lot. I actually read the book, and those that know me know how much I despise reading. And I read the book twice. So I've studied up and enjoyed the entire process.
Final question, Jim Pedley.
Jim Pedley with RacingToday.com. This is kind of a follow-up to that question. Jimmy, when you went into voting yesterday, did you have a short list of people that you thought might get in? And as the discussions progressed during the day, did that list change at all?
Yeah, it really did. So much good discussion, as you know, that took place. I probably had 7 going in there, and I thought the discussion would help me whittle down to 5, but after the conversations took place, I think my number grew to 9. And then, we had lunch, and things moved kind of quickly after that, and the ballot was in front of all of us, and it was time to check some boxes. So, I felt like I could have been in there another couple hours with the open mic format in learning more about the individuals. But not an easy decision. And just following social media and seeing people reply and upset that someone they're a fan of or related to even didn't make it in, I feel for everybody. And I kind of sense that some took the voting process lightly, based on just 140 characters that come through a tweet. And I wish others, especially the people on the outside of our sport looking in, could understand how much thought went into that. I was really impressed yesterday, and in the whole prepping process, what went into it and how much consideration goes into each and every name on the ballot. So, as those in there know it's not an easy process to pick those 5.
Jimmy, thank you, and good luck this weekend.